Content creation in any way is not as easy as one may imagine. Despite what opinions people may have about streamers or creators in general, I like to believe that there is some level of respect for the amount of effort and time put in to get one product out. There's hundreds of categories for a creator to settle in, and in the case of anime and manga content creation, we've also got our fair share of work cut out for us. However, it's not often that we talk about the difficulties that come with it. At most, we tend to hear about people's origin stories, what series got them into anime, what creator inspired them, what hardships they endured leading up to that life-changing point. While all the information is important for the sake of understanding origin, it doesn't necessarily elaborate upon the process or walls people encounter during creation. When I made my video talking about the state of anime and manga content creation, every single creator I did and did not mention in that video puts in a massive amount of time, but not always is it a smooth process. Think about the times where we may have scrapped a project or have to change things constantly, and while I am not necessarily a big name myself, today I thought I'd take a moment to really talk about some of the difficulties that come with being a creator in this space. This will be subjective, so make sure to let me know what you think down below. I think a good baseline to start with is discussing everyone's favorite demon, and that's the copyright demon. Listen, I have no issue with the idea of copyright itself. Nobody should have their work stolen or used all willy-nilly. This should be an atmosphere of respect for one another and integrity. However, when it comes to YouTube and their copyright system towards anime and manga, it is by far one of the most frustrating things to deal with, especially when it gets to the point of disputing it with a language barrier involved. Truly, there is not a creator out there that can really point you in a specific safe direction towards avoiding it, because it is so unpredictable sometimes that it can be frustrating. For example, in my case, I used to have a different channel by the name of Quirk Sensei, and during that time, I was covering all of World Trigger Season 2 and soon heading into Season 3. However, in the middle of the night one day, I got slapped with 3 strikes by Toei all at once because I was covering the manga chapters as well, and these strikes came months after the videos had been up for a long time. Mind you, my weekly anime coverage for Season 2 suffered no issues. I couldn't dispute it or get assistance. I simply had to hold it, make a new account, and start over from scratch. Now, had I got flagged for the first video before I made the rest of them, I could have adjusted and avoided a channel deletion altogether, but nothing ever happened until it did. Instead, I got 3 shotgun pumps to the chest all at once because the system decided to randomly wake up one day and flag me. We could also look at the totally not marked situation where over 150 videos got hit and that man had to fight tooth and nail to get them back. It begs the question of what is genuinely the trigger for this to happen, and why can't that be communicated? Naturally, there are so many of us that use footage from anime, and yet even that is a matter of rolling the dice. Now, sometimes of course we may deserve it considering we may push some boundaries, and we also may have to bite the bullet and deal with any consequences that may come. But it doesn't make it any less discouraging knowing we can't always cleanly plan around it, especially when strikes could hit a video almost a year later. Sometimes they're just impossible to get through altogether. This actually gives me room to talk about my cancel Ghibli project as well. My plan was to cover a movie each month, with my first review being Ponyo back in January, but even that took me over 30 times to get it past copyright. Through so much trial and error, I learned that Ghibli copyright will barely let you use a clip over 6 seconds, or it's an instant flag in my case. So imagine having to edit a 10-minute video using clips that span 6 seconds or less. No matter what I did, it just forced me to use more still frames, and that's just kinda boring, hence why I stopped it altogether. A lot of our content creation is actually really good promotion. I mean, look at reactors, and I wish there were clearer guidelines on how both sides can win here. Some companies are more lenient than others, and many times you won't know you're actually in the red zone till after you hit upload. I know for a fact that this has happened to creators at least once, and let me tell you, it's not fun. Sometimes it makes you want to scrap the project altogether, but thankfully we tend to persevere and make it work. Shifting towards a more personal side of things, I do think the main challenge with being a creator in this space is how you go about the idea and the method. Year long, there are dozens of anime coming out, dozens of new manga, ongoing series gathering or losing momentum. Even though we can go and look to see what's doing well or what's coming, being in this space is ultimately a giant game of chance, and it starts with our idea. What do we want to talk about and why? Is it relevant to the current discussion discussions, or is it something you personally want to talk about as you can't get your mind off of it? Does this cater to my existing audience, or does this extend a hand for new viewers to come by? All of this consideration can make the process of deciding challenging, because no matter what, everyone wants to grow, but what logic everyone chooses to abide by varies per person. There are different creators that specialize in different things because there is always going to be an audience for that said thing, but even that doesn't always guarantee the content will be a success, especially when there's a lot of coverage on major series. Take the shonen world for example. There are a lot of creators that solely cover shonen series, or maybe even just one shonen in general, and as I've said before, that is not a bad thing. There is an audience of teens and young adults who want a community experience. For the past few years, a lot of those channels would cover MHA or JJK, with One Piece creators being in a lifetime commitment that rivals marriage itself. Now we're talking about Ichi the Witch and especially Kagurabachi, and for a lot of these creators, their guidelines are directed towards weekly content creation, which can be very difficult to maintain. But when we look at abundance, that's when things get a little competitive. It could end up turning into a race to get out content faster than your peers, and not even that will guarantee you growth. I think people would do their best to cultivate the result as much as they can, even if luck is involved. Everyone has their own circumstances and limitations, strengths and weaknesses especially, and quality varies as it's subjective. You may have to go study other creators' methods and really see what's out there, and teach yourself how to use editing software in Death or Photoshop, which can be a lot of time sink, but it's necessary in order to elevate your vision to the best final product it can be, and yet you're also trying to not copy anybody bar for bar. No matter what, it is imperative that you do your own thing. Whether you do everything yourself, have your own editors, or even your own thumbnail artist, it is important to cultivate your own style. It's unspoken of course, but people sharing their thought process is not so common. If people were to explain where they get their footage from, how they edit in certain ways or choose music, not only would that defeat the purpose of having editors, but it would certainly hurt that special aspect about a creator. It goes without saying that everyone has something to preserve, which can make the learning curve a bit tougher when you're on your own. This is all a marathon, it's never going to be a sprint, and a lot of times you will have ideas that may not perform well. You may think it's an absolute banger, but when you're rolling the dice with every upload, it's hard to say till you see the results. When a brand new season of anime comes out, everyone scrambles to see what's gonna be worth the time. Think when Frieren came out, or Solo Leveling, even Don the Don, but even then, what you decide to talk about regarding that series may not even grab the audience's attention. It's why some may turn to clickbait, as it's certainly an approach that simply works in a variety. It's part of the reason why I really took my time deciding the type of creator I want to be and how I would get there. As much as I know I have a huge World Trigger audience, I want to at least have the flexibility to talk about what I want all year long and not worry about failure looming over my head because I'm not always talking about World Trigger. At least at that point, I've avoided restricting myself to one lane, and my hits or misses are just honest parts of the process. Now, if you choose to stick to one lane, that's different because you at least have narrowed your cone of expectations. It simply comes down to how you stand out among your peers who are also in that lane. Yet, despite everything I've mentioned, I think one key thing that is difficult to always navigate past is the question of who cares. I know that I said that there's an audience for everything, but what I didn't mention is that we must also consider the size of that audience. Before this video, I was working on another about the spring anime Apocalypse Hotel and its silent episode. I was thinking of going in the direction of discussing the impermanence of life, and as I got halfway, I started to think about who would care about this video. Fantastic of a show that it was, I barely knew anyone that was keeping up with it, and quite frankly, people would probably tune in more about Fire Force's recent finale than that, thus leading me to ultimately scrap it and create this one. And yet I may have actually had a gem on my hands, but this is why I say the idea and the method can be a difficult thing. You always have to weigh your ideas, think about the patterns and statistics you're working with, observe your atmosphere, and decide how you want to edit in order to keep your viewers' attention. Overall, weighing whether or not putting in all these hours for a project will be worth it. Finding a spot to grow in never comes easy. People go through a lot of trial and error before they truly find their groove, and sometimes even their groove might be in all directions but never just one. All of this is just the nature of the game itself. Finally, and probably the more emotional difficulties in this space lie at burnout and perception. I want to start with burnout first, because this is something I have gotten close to experiencing, but also many creators in general have gone through this. Consistency is a two-sided coin here in this space, as we want to upload as much as we can with good substance, but at the same time, it can be challenging to uphold a form of schedule. Weekly coverage especially is not easy when you're editing heavy, and having to maintain this all year long is exhausting. You lose a lot of time, and by the conclusion of a 2-core series, almost half the year has gone by. Slowly but surely, you can feel the wear and tear, which can bleed into the process itself, and is why I say that it's important to pace yourself. I know a lot of people crack jokes about content creators taking a month or longer to upload sometimes, but truly that gap can be a good thing. You never want to rush a product for the sake of simply getting it out, nor do you want to hate what you do, and yet this can collide with the idea of what if you don't strike when the iron is hot. Again, weighing your choices, and this is honestly something I can learn from as well, as ever since I have started content creation, I've averaged 2 to 3 videos per month. Good frequency, sure, but there are a lot of times where I feel like spacing out the content, maybe only doing one giant video a month and not having to take time and stress about what I need to talk about next for the sake of maintaining that frequency. The process should be a natural and fun thing that you take your time with, and it shouldn't be so stressful. As much as consistency matters, it is important for people to define what consistency means for them. It's one thing to be covering a series weekly, but it's another to constantly try and push out a 30-minute video every week. It's important to keep active, but there is no shame in slowing down, and there is no shame in stepping away to recharge to come back stronger. Now at last, we arrive at perception. If there is one thing anime fans love to do, it's act like they know everything about your character based off a tweet or video. Growing up, I have seen a lot of hate for anime content creators for various reasons. Mother's Basement over the JoJo's Watch Order, Giga for the Fate video, and of course the Bleach community versus Super Eyepatch Wolf. I'm not here to argue about whether or not the videos have good or bad takes, or if anything is deserved, but what I will say, especially with my own experience with comments, is that no matter what you do, you will always piss off somebody even if you are not trying to. Whether you enjoy something too much, dislike something, share your honest opinion, or even make mistakes, somebody is gonna be mad at you. A lot of the time, I have seen the anime community say that a content creator can single-handedly ruin the reputation of a series, which is beyond me, because at the end of the day, it is still just one person with a microphone sharing their opinion. It goes to show just how much power the community can give someone's words. Yet I won't sit here and pretend that backlash doesn't get intense. There are going to be times where the things people say to you can be difficult to overlook. Many people out there are hateful and bigoted and would rather see you cease than to share another opinion about a series, in which I say that it's important to know when to tune out the noise. Sometimes it may be better to not read the comments and just disconnect altogether. It's billions of people with billions of opinions, and even though I know we all have that urge to reply sometimes, going back and forth can also contribute to burnout. Not letting anyone ruin your day is by far one of the best survival skills when putting yourself out there. It may be difficult, but I can assure you, walking away is so much better. With that, it's pretty much my picks as far as difficulties, challenges, and hills go. Of course, if there is anything you all out there would like to add that I surely missed, make sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. In the meantime, my summer anime lineup is in full swing and it's time to watch. So with that being said, till we meet again in the next video.